Oh.
And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. The vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect when some people on Facebook that I knew back from high school were posting stuff that was factually incorrect, and that's the way they wanted to play with Facebook. And they didn't like my way of playing with Facebook, which was to correct them. Part of this is also to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I am known as Shujin Tribble all over the place. You can find me under that name pretty much anywhere. I was born to a Roman Catholic family in Brooklyn, New York, raised on Long Island. I currently reside outside of Buffalo, New York, and I'm an unabashed atheist with a geography problem, apparently. I'm sorry, I've got like four different things running through my head that we need to get through tonight, not to mention the fact that I will start off at this point reminding you that this is going to be a not safe for work episode. Very likely, highly so, because even I'm pissed off and have been for the last 5 days. So if you shouldn't be listening, don't. Don't worry, we've got plenty of episodes follow up from this. Let's start off and introduce everybody because we got the full panel for tonight. Starting off over on the left side of the continent, up into Canada. Good evening, Dallin.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. Wow. Okay, bringing down the caffeine. Online known as Dallin, born and raised in North Central Canada to a Lutheran family. Religion was a very low-key part of my life. My parents always encouraged me to always ask questions, never stop learning, and above all, keep an open mind. That's gotten me where I am these days in my personal and professional life. And up until recently, I was a very live and let live kind of guy until the village idiots, read fundamentalists, started making things really bad for some of my friends south of the border, and I realized that you can't be live and let live anymore. You got to take a stand. And I took a stand with the people with brains.
Moving across to the right over into Ontario, north of me. Good morning, Heretic Woman.
Good morning. Over here in Ontario, Canada, started out in the United Church of Canada, which is pretty liberal as far as churches go. But, you know, we all do stupid teenager tricks, and mine was to join a Calvinist sect, and I really don't recommend it. They're not exactly very fun people. But I got better, and I have now been an atheist. I'm approaching 27 years now. Life is much better on this side, trust me, and I spend as much time as I can furthering the cause of critical thought and annoying, fundy, religious nut jobs wherever I find them.
Moving to the Midwest of the U.S. Good evening, Brigid.
Good evening. I'm Brigid Fitch. I was born and raised in the South. I have transplanted to the Midwest. Was born and raised in fundamentalist household, Church of Christ. My family put the fundamental in fundamentalist. I finally got out about 2003, and I fight back against theocracy and biblical patriarchy wherever I find them.
Moving to the right on your bingo card at this point, south of me into Pittsburgh. Good morning, Joey.
Howdy. Hi, everybody. My name is Joe. I was born to a Roman Catholic family in Chicago, Illinois. I spent 8 years in the United States military, and I'm... Whoa. We still there?
We're still good.
Okay, sorry. Kind of wigged out on me there for a moment. I spent 8 years in the military, and now I am living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania as a designer and atheist.
Continuing off to the right towards the water, over into, well, wherever the hell it is you want to claim that you're from. I keep saying that you're in the shadow of D.C. I think that's close enough. You can feel the hot air from where you are. Good morning, Unrenode Tech.
Dude, there is so much hot air out of D.C. that we haven't had snow yet, except for like that little one day where it kind of flittered down from the sky and then instantly melted even before it touched the ground. I hate politics so much.
And global warming.
Well, that's because they won't shut up. See, now if D.C. would just shut up, there'd be less global warming. I know how to fix it. You know, come on. Back me up on this, Bill Nye. Come on. You can do it. I'm Unknown Tech. I live in
Tech
Maryland.
for president.
Yeah. 9 Tyson for president, 2016. Yeah. And I grew up in a mixed religious background. Practiced a couple, studied a couple more, and eventually, over time, it all sank in, and I realized it was all full of shit. And I'm an atheist because of it. The best way to make an atheist: read the religious text and think for yourself.
Moving across the water over to England. Good morning, Chris.
Oh, good morning, Shujin. I'm Chris, based in the north of England, where I work in tech support. I've had a lifelong interest in science and thinking and reason, etc., and that led me to look at my fairly loose Catholic upbringing and decide that there wasn't any evidence to support any any religions, and each one in turn I looked into, I reached the sort of same conclusion, and I was fairly live and let live until a few years ago when I really started seeing the level of harm being done.
And continuing south into the mainland of Europe, again I can talk tonight, into Paris. Good morning, Joseph.
Yeah, good morning. My name's Joseph. I was originally born in London, Ontario, Canada, and I'm now living in Paris, France, and I do everything to get other humans thinking for themselves.
So we've got, as I mentioned, we have a very not safe for work episode tonight, and I'm going to jump right into it. I need to take care of one or two quick pieces of housekeeping with everything, so don't worry about it. First off, of course, Katie, thank you very much for watching us live, who chimes in and says, "Evening, crap crew." That's us. Hi. If you are watching us live, by all means, take advantage of the question and answer system. If you'd like to live tweet to us, you can go ahead and do that at Holy Crap TV. And, of course, I have Facebook open as usual, so I can catch a hold of those messages as they're coming through. Feel free at any time to drop any messages our way. We'll see what we can do for you. Before I go into my opening, Heretic Woman, let me go ahead and grab you.
Mm-hmm.
The latest information that you have specifically on Raif's whereabouts. Don't lead my bit.
Yeah, no. Still in jail.
As of the recording of this episode, it has now been 3 years, 7 months since Raif was unjustly incarcerated for thought crime against the government of Saudi Arabia. We are still waiting for you. With 5 minutes on the clock, your 5-minute freestyle starts right now. The government of Saudi Arabia, I wanted to make that my opening tonight, but I don't want to be... I will have plenty enough time to talk about that a little bit later with everybody else because, well, I mean, that's the whole topic of it all. But what I wanted to do was to basically entice Bobby and Ms. Ashley from No Religion Required to kind of take a preview of the reason why I was telling them, hey, I'd like to be on your show this week, if you don't mind, for a minute or so. The episode I was listening to, they were talking about Y'all Qaeda. You guys might have heard about these group of yo-yos. And while I was at work and in and out of the friggin' freezer because of inventory, I got to thinking about something because of what they were talking about. And I wrote down my thoughts because I have a really bad habit of completely forgetting. So I figured, what the hell? I played music for them this week on my Wednesday show and a little preview of what I wanted to talk with them about. There have been comparisons. I don't know who, but somebody has been comparing the Y'all Qaeda folks to George Washington, comparing them to freedom fighters. And are they freedom fighters or are they domestic terrorists? Well, I think I've got a pretty definitive statement on this one. They are illegal. And I'm going to explain very carefully and very easily why that is. And besides the fact of, no duh, just follow me on this a second. You want to go ahead and try to compare them against George Washington and the resistance fighters, the revolutionaries, the Minutemen. That's fine. You can go ahead and you can do that. But you're going to find out it doesn't end well. Because if you think about it, the guys that Washington was dealing with, they tried to use the chain of command. They tried to use the governmental channels. They tried to change things the way they were supposed to. And they were locked out. They wrote letters. They went on to actually speak, and they were told, you know what, piss off. Don't care. You've got stuff to say? That's nice, that's cute, that's adorable. Go home. And at every turn, they were turned away. Their government failed to listen to their grievances. Now, if they were able to go through a court system and have the government agencies actually listen to them, you know, one agency, one branch of government in the United States currently handles one aspect, two of them handle two others, the judicial, the legislative, and the executive, so that the checks and balances as we've come to know it here in the United States is supposed to, one checks the other, because 33% can't dominate the other 66%, leaving off the 0.3%, because don't get me into the whole matter of 0.999999 equals 1. I don't want to get into that debate. That's another thing for another day. Anyway. But as it stands right now, if these guys were actually resistance fighters, the way that they want to be compared to with Washington and the such, they're wrong, because there is a channel available to them. And they've decided that they're going to go straight from righteous indignation to armed conflict. That's not what Washington did. That's not what the guys in 1700s were trying to do. They were trying to avoid at all costs an armed conflict. Why? Because it's a motherfucking armed conflict. People would die. Family would be pitted against family. They would die. People would die horrible deaths with bullet holes through them. Is that really what you want? They didn't. They wanted to solve it. They wanted to resolve it. But they got turned away at every opportunity and told, piss off. And what's Y'all Qaeda done? They've gone ahead and said, you know what? We're not even going to follow through with that, because the government has failed us on every turn, every opportunity, and no, they haven't. You didn't even try. If you had tried, then maybe, just maybe, you might have had a shred of respectability. You could have been a contender. But instead, you know what you are? You're the butt-fuck joke. Where the guys who created Cards Against Humanity showed you exactly what they thought of you by sending a 55-gallon drum of personal lube for all the bags of dicks that have been sent your way to let you know exactly what everyone thinks of you. You're a laughingstock to history. You should have quit while you were ahead. Unless, of course, head is the kind of thing that you guys want to take care of for each other. I don't know. But, you know, you can answer that for yourselves.
Shots fired!
You know what? And they deserve every piece of it.
I was so happy they got the bags of dicks, but I was even happier to find out they got the lube to go with them.
I'll tell you, that came through on my Facebook feed last night. And we'd been talking about it on our other show, and then I saw this, and I'm like, guys, you're not going to believe this, and we broke. Collectively, we broke.
Yep. Yeah, we did. And you know what? It was worth it.
I didn't even know lube came in 55-gallon drums.
Well, you know, and that was something somebody said on the show, is like, okay, one, it was something like $1,200 for the barrel itself.
Yeah, it was $1,000 for the barrel.
$18 for expedited shipping. And the guy says, I'm not sure. He said, I'm not sure what's crazier. The fact that it was only $18 for the expedited shipping, or, as Chris said, who the hell sells a 55-gallon drum of fucking lube?
Oh, I can answer that one. I can answer that one. Japan.
Ah!
And we just lost all of our Japanese listeners.
No, actually, they're probably waiting for instructions on how they too can acquire said barrel.
Yes.
Well,
and
they didn't.
They're probably rather pleased to the fact that they can go through that much at one go.
Yeah,
this is pretty advertising
I guess.
for them.
Yeah, I guess to some people that is an achievement. Now, the
achievement can you see it on the Steam board for the Steam client? Achievement acquired. Lubricant.
I'm actually wondering what the Microsoft Snappy report would be for their achievement. Now, the tweet that I saw attached to the article, excuse me, the invoice that they showed. Now, the guy had blocked out all the headers and stuff, but I've done enough shopping on Amazon to think that maybe that's where it came from.
Wow.
Well, hey, let's face it, those motherfuckers will sell anything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure if you typed your mom, you'd find something.
That's true.
You know we're going to have to try that now.
The thing I love about Y'all Qaeda is that the level of their failure is so much that they try and generate an armed conflict in America and can't.
Yeah, one would think with all of the guns and bullets and bombs and...
Yeah. I mean, like toddlers do it in Walmart without trying.
You know, this thing reminds me of two things. Like, just on the subject of, like, absolute glorious failures. The movie Canadian Bacon. I highly recommend you guys all see it.
Okay.
Just, if you haven't seen it, trust me, it fits in to this beautifully.
Yeah, and their
But
beer
the other
sucks.
That's a too kwaku accusation.
Actually, remind me later. I got something about that. Speaking of beer, but anyways, and the other thing it reminds me of is, now I'm trying not to hit close to home here, Chris, but Eddie the Eagle.
Yeah, yes, Eddie.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, now there's a guy who went out there and just a complete laughingstock, really, but at the same time, you know, at the end of the Olympics that year when they said, you know, where we could soar like an eagle, the crowd lost their shit. I mean, like, it was a celebrated glorious failure, which these dick-eating, gun-toting, about to be extremely lubricated morons will never be able to do.
And
See, the thing about the bags of dicks is that they're gummy dicks.
Yeah.
So they appealed for snacks. They got snacks.
They got
Just
snacks.
Not Oreos. They got gummy dicks.
now,
That guy was so mad too. He's like, somebody thought this was funny. Well, bleh.
Yeah,
we put it off the table. Yeah, somebody thought it was funny. How about everybody thought it was funny? They're bunch.
Yeah, Joey.
Thanks for adding to it.
Am I mistaken, or did somebody raise the question, why hasn't there been an armed conflict between all these patriotic gun-toting folk and...
there almost was.
Yet,
Oh, between the government.
I'm not talking about, you know, this particular instance, but, like, across the nation.
Well,
They're trying.
Well, let me put it this way. As a patriotic gun owner, and if you don't believe me, go look at our video on the Second Amendment. I put my guns on display on the internet. And not really to be like, oh, look at me, I've got so many guns, yeah! Here's the thing about my guns. The vast majority of them are collector's items.
Mm-hmm.
A 1903 Lee Enfield. A 1941 Mosin Nagant. A 1941 M1 carbine. An 1887 Harrington Richardson break-top revolver. These are historical items that I have collected. Now, I do have guns. Now, all of my guns are in fine, functioning order. I could take them out to the range and shoot them all day, no problems. But I will be the first to admit that I don't agree with everything the federal government does. But you know what? As a patriotic, gun-owning American, a veteran no less, I will tell you this. The reason why the rest of us haven't been up in arms yet is because we realize it hasn't gotten to that point.
Mhm.
It's not even close.
Here's
Yeah.
a piece about this that I want you to kind of
well-
comment on, by the way, Joe.
Well, go ahead. Go
Real
ahead.
quick. Looking at the physiques of most of these individuals that we're dealing with here,
Touch on that.
as somebody who's played Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead 2, don't a couple of these gentlemen look a little bit more like boomers than...
Well,
I don't know.
I was actually going to reference Zombieland, cardio,
Oh.
but all that aside, for example, apparently one of these guys has been arrested. Not one of the ones on site, but one of their group.
Yeah, he drove a federal truck.
Fellow
A
by the name.
federal.
Off to go get snacks.
Can I finish?
Let the man finish.
I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna let you finish, but no, I'm just
I
kidding.
swear. Fellow by the name of Brian Cavalier, age 44, whose code name is Fluffy Unicorn.
Did you make that up?
No.
All right.
He was arrested down in Arizona, apparently doing something for the group. I don't know. But whatever the case is, he is supposedly a bodyguard for Amon Bundy, apparently the guy running this whole show. And he he likes wearing military uniforms and camouflage, and claims that he's a retired U.S. Marine, though there is no proof in any records that he has ever served in the military. And I can pretty much guarantee you that the rest of these gentlemen, look, I've been out of the military for 5 years, and I don't know if you noticed, but I've been working on it. I've really tried, but no matter how many beers I drink, I just can't get that kind of gut.
Good God, I wish I had your problem. I look at a case of beer and I gain 2 pounds.
You know, I work with plenty of guys who are former Army or Navy or Air Force who don't have that gut.
Yeah. These fellows are guys who grew up with the armchair general. See, when I joined the military, I won't say that I wasn't somewhat influenced. I was influenced, but not by Call of Duty or Armchair General or anything like that. I was influenced by the guys. I know you're probably watching. Forgive me for this, but by the old geezers of my hometown, because my hometown in Ohio had a whole lot. I mean, it's not the kind of place you stay when you're young. That's why I'm not there right now. But we had a whole lot of retirees there who were actually World War II veterans, Korean War veterans, Vietnam War veterans. And I grew up hearing the stories, the good and the bad. And I knew exactly what I was getting myself into when I signed up with the military, courtesy of those gentlemen. None of these guys. When you are in the military and you get out, you don't boast about having been in the military. The only reason why I even address that on this show is, to give you some background as to what my point of view is on things, because we go through it every beginning of the show. We go through everybody's backgrounds, what they've been through, so that you have some kind of glimpse at why we think the way we do. And these guys are the type who grew up with their little green army men and Armchair General and Call of Duty or whatever, and grew up with, in the American gun culture of, hey, let's go shoot some stuff, and are now so wrapped up in it that they want to play at, Civil War. They want to play soldier. You don't know what the hell you're doing. Granted, you have some right ideas, because apparently this complex that they took over has at least one strategically viable building among it. It's like I think there's a dozen buildings in the complex, and it's a U.S. forestry complex. So they have what's called a fire watch tower, which is as the name suggests, it's a tower to watch for fires, for forest fires.
Prior military people are not pulling this crap.
Yeah, these are not former military. These are not paramilitary. These are guys who think a gun makes them a man.
They want to play army.
Can I just question something there? You said, Joey. You said strategically viable. I think you may have meant defensible, because I can't see this place having any strategic value at all. No one cares about it.
That particular building is what I was referring to. That particular tower, which is why, authorities are hesitant to just go in and deal with the situation, because these guys could have guys up on the tower. We don't know.
Yeah, okay, you say that, and okay, so it's pretty well established that these guys are not ex-military.
No. But let me put it this way.
No, go ahead.
And Shujin's analogy earlier about, why aren't we just calling them domestic terrorists? Just because they have no idea what they're doing doesn't mean they aren't dangerous.
Oh, they're incredibly dangerous.
You put the... I will argue that, yes, a soldier trained in how to use his weapon is a formidable force, but he's not nearly as dangerous as an idiot who has a gun and thinks he knows how to use it.
Right there. Case in point, the guy in the other militia group who shot his buddy in the face because they were fighting and killed the guy.
Who was it that shot his buddy in the face while quail hunting?
Oh, Cheney.
Yes.
Cheney.
That's what you're talking about.
So we're talking about idiots and politicians then.
Well,
what
these
I was
guys
thinking was,
think they're politicians too.
yeah, but like what I was thinking was, okay, these guys are definitely not military. They're pretending. It would be kind of cool to see, how fast they would flood their drawers if the real military came in and basically shut them down in like 2 hours.
My mom and I were actually discussing that topic, and we were saying it would be so funny to see all these guys toting these guns around, and all of a sudden the United States Army and just come walking right up to their doorstep going, you've got 2 minutes to lay down your guns.
Now,
you see, I'm
they
thinking
would
more
shoot themselves.
Now, again, I'm not advocating, let's take all the guns away and such like that, because not even speaking for myself, I know many gun owners, responsible gun owners. This is not what a responsible gun owner does. No. And a responsible gun owner does not show up at a political rally in Arizona carrying an AK-47 or AR-15 or whatever the hell that was a couple years back.
Ding.
Yep. Now, before we go on any further, because we gotta move this along, but we do have some comments that are chimed in over there from Secular Lobster Ministries. First off, thank you very kindly. Sorry it took us a little while to get to you. We did see you over there. Who's chimed in with a couple of items. Item number one, and I'll give you guys a real quick if anybody wants to hit it. The first one is, what do you think will happen when all the bird watchers in Oregon invade like they do every year? If we're talking about the Peregrine Falcons, I don't think the Peregrine Falcons are really going to like it.
I'm going to say...
Wait a minute.
I was going to say that they're going to have a whole new flock of dodos to watch.
We thought they were extinct.
I was going to say they start recording B-roll material for the next National Lampoon's Family Vacation.
Actually, I was thinking it was probably going to be the B-roll for Pandemic 2, The Second Coming, but no.
Wait a minute. The only way it would work with Pandemic is if stupidity was contagious.
It might be in that
It might be.
area. Yeah.
It's
We
Hollywood.
haven't
They can spin
scientifically
it.
proven it yet.
I think the second coming won't be until they get through the first shipment of lube.
By the way, we did mention about this on Friday nights. We did mention about this on Friday night show that's got to be a very uncomfortable call to customer service. Yeah, we got our barrel of 55-gallon barrel. Oh yes, we see that shipped to you. Did that? Yeah, the pump. We don't have the pump that's supposed to come with it. Could you send that now? Oh sure, we'll ship that for you right now.
I thought it was just like a dip and
Oh
stick.
come on! I'm sure they could get one of those yokels to siphon it.
No, here's the thing. If you can't find a pump, just use a funnel.
Yeah, that'll work.
Take your
funnel
gun,
and a
blow a
scoop.
hole in it, and just have the guy with the funnel in front of it.
No, hold it.
Even more uncomfortable.
Hold it. Tech, you're not allowed to be talking about lube and blow at the same time.
Why not? You did.
I was going to say the
You did.
even more uncomfortable call to customer services is when these guys run out of snacks and have to call customer services to find out if the shit's edible.
Yeah, we kind of talked.
You see what I have to deal with, folks?
Oh, you know what? Someone needs to send those guys a shipment of edible undies, like pronto.
Well, it's funny.
And both
Said they don't
styles.
want anybody sending them any more dildos, and the first thought that came to my mind was, okay, if we can't send them any more dildos, what about butt plugs?
Yeah.
That's That's a whole other Flash movie.
We send an assortment of edible undies, both styles, because we don't want to discriminate. You know, choose your style, and send them out. Oh.
And you know, they've been there for a while, so they probably need a clean change of underwear. We could send them some manties.
No,
That too.
we're not going to.
See,
All right,
I'm
second
guys?
item. Second item.
Guys?
moving on.
What?
I will only say this. www.sendapantygram.com. I'm done.
See, I'm not even trying to poke fun at these guys or anything like that. You guys are doing a good enough job at that already. But you know, to the guys over there, I'm not trying to belittle you or anything. But seriously, you're doing it wrong. All right? You have channels. Believe me when I say, and I'm speaking as a veteran. The sword is never as powerful than if you move the S to the back.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I'm talking about, good on you.
Second one that he put over here. Did you hear about the 79? Sorry, from Secular Lobster. Did you hear about the 79-year-old man who took out a rancher with a simple leg takedown? First off, considering the number of people who have recently died who are 69 years old, I'm getting really worried for people who are up in their 70s right now. So, Sir Ian and Sir Patrick, could we all protect the shit out of both of them first, and then we'll deal with this guy, the rancher with a leg take? I don't know anything about this. You guys, anybody ring a bell? Nothing for me.
No.
No. Okay, that's okay. No, we don't know anything about it, but that's okay. You know, we'll probably find out about that one later.
Post a link.
Well, the fact that they put the fact that they put rancher in quotes, I'm assuming they're talking about one of these individuals of the Y'all Qaeda movement, because that's what this whole thing's about. Yeah, because that's what the whole thing's about. It's like, we want this sanctuary land open up for us ranchers.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah,
bullshit.
again, I think the biggest thing these guys have actually shot is a gopher.
I think the biggest thing that these guys have been shooting is their own goddamn mouths.
Now, I mean, make no mistake. I've seen a lot of gophers, here where I live, and they're fast little motherfuckers. I mean, I'd probably waste a clip trying to take one out, but I'm thinking these guys have maybe had some experience. Well, soldiers just like a gopher, isn't it?
Well, but shooting beer bottles isn't quite the same thing, I'm guessing.
Beer bottles don't move, usually.
Yeah, stationary target and all.
Beer bottles.
They don't shoot back.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, okay, tech, that might depend. If you shoot a full one, you might get some shrapnel and some foam on you.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I mean,
Hey,
think of
Joe,
it.
have you ever done that? Shot some, full beer bottle, something shitty like Budweiser.
Why the hell would I? Look, I don't buy it.
Well, isn't Budweiser like cheaper than real Targets?
Well, Tech,
Oh, it's got
Nice.
the
Yeah.
Uh,
You're invited to my home anytime, man.
Tech. Today I actually found or last night I found a sign, and it's actually posted up here in Calgary at one of the liquor stores. I kid you not when I say this. Budweiser, 15 can pack, $37.99 or one whole barrel of oil.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. By the way, just to cover this all up, as far as to having to spend an entire clip to hit a gopher, dude, they're not any much bigger than a meter long. I mean, you can hit them with your old. They're no bigger than womp rats, man. You can hit them with your.
Shujin.
What? You God damn it.
Two things. One, I've only killed a gopher once. It was out of necessity. It was digging holes underneath the house, and it was one shot with a 22, and it was done. Well, two shots, because the first shot didn't actually kill him, but,
You were being
You were trying
human.
to be
You made sure
humane
the
at
job
that
was done right.
But you said the big no-no. What was it that you said? An entire what?
I know, it's what he said first. I'm just following up with it. It was a Star Wars quote I was butchering. Did you not notice that part?
No. I know exactly what he's talking about. And look, I got a couple of friends from over the pond who already give me a hard time when I try to say something and they say, you're not using Queen's English. And now I'm going to be told by somebody what the difference between a clip and a magazine is?
You know what? If we're going to
Bitch,
talk about
please.
If we're going to talk about the Queen's English, fine. How about this for the Queen's English? Somebody find me somebody to love. I dropped the fucking microphone, but I don't have a spare one to
Well
use
played,
at this point.
sir. Well played.
Yeah, anyway. So,
Crazy.
anyway.
Maybe
So,
you need a shipment of lube too.
you know what? For those of you that want to buy some, go looking for something called methyl cellulose.
Oh,
Don't look that one up. It's a legit product, and it's what they use in Japan for all the fake stuff. But we'll talk about my tentacles later. Let's get on to Saudi Arabia. Motherfucking Saudi Arabia. Mother the fucking Saudi Arabia. Why am I so pissed off? Because I was at work, and I believe it was Tuesday. Well, I was at work. It was Tuesday. Yeah, it was Tuesday.
Yeah,
and
it was Tuesday.
all of a sudden, my phone goes, "Blung," which is the Google Hangouts announcement that comes through if a text message comes through. And I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck? All right, fine. Somebody forgot to close their window, whatever the fuck. And I'm in the middle of slicing New York cheesecakes.
I'm sorry, man.
No, don't worry about it. I hate doing that. And I read.
But they taste so good.
No,
They do. Actually, I've had one.
I read the message, and I literally, for the first time in a long time, I did a legitimate motherfucking Tex Avery cartoon-based double take because I could not believe what I had read. I literally looked at it, turned away, turned off my screen, and went, wait, what? My reply to it was, in all caps, what, and if I had an interrobang to use, I would have used it. For those that don't know, the interrobang is the exclamation point and the question mark as a combined item. Instead, I had to use one of each.
Mm-hmm.
And did somebody get a cheesecake with your face printed in it?
Oh, God, no. Tech, I believe it was you that sent that the first message I
Yes.
saw, wasn't
Yes,
it?
it was.
Yeah, I saw it, and it popped up on my information bar. I'm going, wait a minute. They did what? And they arrested his sister, his oldest sister, apparently more than one. And when they arrested her, what really threw me was the fact that she had her infant daughter with her, and they took the infant too.
Yeah.
And all I can think to myself is, no. This is wrong. This is very
Yeah.
wrong. Forget. I didn't even. To be quite honest, I had an emotional reaction. Rather than calming myself down and continuing to read the entire article, I immediately notified the crack crew. But at least the ones I had on the list that I, could do at work on my phone readily, quickly. And then I went back to reading it. I'm going, they arrested her. Why? Why are they doing this? A fucking Twitter account? What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, the short version of it was Raif Badawi's oldest sister. Shit, what the fuck is her name again? It is
Samar.
Samar Badawi.
Yeah,
Samar Badawi. Yeah.
Yeah, she was picked up for questioning, for interrogation.
Yeah.
And if you are listening on the audio feed, you can probably hear what sounds like, I'm using air quotes, but fuck that noise. I'm not going to be bothered because I'm sorry, no.
And see,
It's
one of the
too
key
fucking
things
transparent.
and one of the things to know about her that's very important is she is a human rights advocate.
Yes.
She's very prominent in the circuit in the Saudi area for the Saudi aspect of the human rights front. And they didn't actually let her go. She got released on bail.
Of some
And the
sort.
prison that they took her to, that's the same one they stuck her brother in. The
Yep.
one where you're convicted, you're guilty, you're done. That's the one they had her in.
Yeah. Now let's kind of backtrack just a little bit. Heretic woman. Let's go with this one a second. Raif Badawi was incarcerated. It's been 3 years 7 months.
Yes.
He's in one particular jail for most of this because he's been on appeal and trying to deal with this whole damn thing. That's in one place.
Yes.
That recently was changed.
Yes.
And that's where I'm having you pick it up.
The prison that he was moved to recently is, as Tech was saying, it's a prison where most of the people who are sent there, their cases have basically been finished adjudicating. There's no more appeals, and that's where you're just there to serve your sentence. And so that was a big concern because we had thought that there was going to be some movement on Raif's case. I think it was a Swiss ambassador who had been there recently who had said, I talked to whatever officials, and there's talk of, even maybe a pardon and stuff like that. And then next thing you know, he's been moved to this, like, hey, you're done jail. And so to me, I mean, it sounds like these fuckers are just lying through their teeth any which way from Sunday to try and get people to stop paying attention to them.
And they may have chosen this prison because it's out of the public eye.
Yes.
Well, there's another piece.
Probably why they took the sister there as well.
Yeah, there's another piece about this also. Raif had also reportedly been on a bit of a hunger strike at the end of last month. Now, what's happened with that, we haven't exactly been able to hear because, as one can imagine, getting news out of there has been like pulling motherfucking teeth.
One other thing, I'm not sure if you guys were aware, but Saher's husband is Raif's lawyer, who is also incarcerated.
For 15 years. Yep.
That's
his punishment for defending
Raif's
Raif.
lawyer. Yeah.
Yep. Now, there's let's kind of again deal with some of the peripheral stuff with all of this. Again, as Joe
and
was
by the way, the lady Samir is Waleed's former. Waleed is her former husband.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, like Joey had referenced, getting all the peripheral stuff, getting all the color for all of the stuff. Dallin, there were also parts of this news report about questions having been asked of Justin Trudeau prior to elections, I believe it was, as to what kind of stuff are you going to try to do and everything. Do you remember anything about what he was saying about that at the time?
Honestly, I don't. I think he just did a lot of fluff and puff talking about certain foreign affairs. I mean, There was talk of the fighting against ISIS. Everybody seemed to get all pissed off that he was going to be withdrawing what little of our Air Force was there. And of course, I have a lot of conservative friends, and they latched onto that with the fervor of, a lion catching its prey, but never bothered to look at the fact that he's actually trying to bring more people in. Like, instead of now having to maintain flight crews for 2 jet fighters, now he can bring in more ground forces to supply, to sort of do an alternate service in the war. And that's the part that was really never discussed. Now, as to the situation with Raif Badawi and all this and all of that, I don't recall if he actually made any kind of stance on it. I think he's very much tiptoeing around it.
I'd heard rumblings that he might actually start to assert himself in that, but that seems to have dissipated. I haven't heard anything about that recently. He's been, right now his focus has been with the First Nations, which, obviously needs his attention, but, you can multitask, dude. Like, come on.
Yeah, there's
the trouble is with that kind of multitasking, and I mean, you bring up First Nations, and I had to I had to try as hard as I could not to eye roll, because I remember when Stephen Harper got elected. I remember when I'm trying to think back how many Liberal leaders we went through before.
Chrétien, Paul Martin.
Yeah, every single one of them has had to deal with the same bullshit every single time. It's like, oh, you're the new prime minister? Yeah, now you owe us an apology.
Yeah.
And it always, always, always comes up. And it's like, enough already. We've got a world that's going to the toilet, and you're still whining about this. We've been apologizing ever since this whole thing happened. Fucking get over it and get with the 21st century.
See, this is why I said it's got to be not safe for work, because a lot of shit going on, people. You've been tuning in all this time, tough shit. It's your own fucking fault.
I would have had the filters on, but you said NSFW. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
I told myself I'm a pretty decent guy. Yeah, I was lying my ass off one night.
You know what? You want to go ahead and USA that? I'm going to call bullshit, motherfucker. Over there on your cabinet, you got Cards Against Humanity. So you know what? Fuck the fuck off.
This
Joseph,
is true.
Let's come on over for your side. Obviously, just fairly recently, through the beginning of this year, obviously, it's been years since the attacks over Charlie Hebdo. The feelings about Islam and Muslims in general, of course, has been, however, it's been hot and cold a lot of places and such. As far as this development for Saudi Arabia with Raif and his sister, best of your knowledge, has any of this made any kind of news that you've taken notice of? And knowing full well you don't exactly keep up onto TV news or whatnot, I do understand and appreciate that too.
Hardly a peep, actually, here. I'm a bit concerned about that because, people here tend to live in a bubble until they're disturbed. So, that really hasn't made the news here. But I can say one thing. Tech, when you sent me that message, I was at work, and my reaction to that, to hearing about Raif's sister's arrest was, I said to the guy sitting next to me, I said, yeah, well, his sister is just arrested. He didn't know who the hell he was or whatever. No. And then I looked again, and actually he was Muslim. But
whoops.
Yeah. No,
that is. I think he just made a friend at work.
Yeah. Well, he was kind of like nonplussed. Because I don't know. There's no reaction really.
And please forgive me. Were you guys speaking in French?
Yeah.
Well, would you just humor me? How did you say it in French? I just want to hear what it sounds like.
Il vient d'arrêter le sœur de Raif.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's something about
what are you
that.
Confirming my French?
No. It's just
That's what he said.
I don't know exactly why I wanted to hear it that way. It's, I guess for me, as stupid as it's going to sound, as vain as it's going to sound, something about it just feels more real, knowing that it transcends language like this. Because, I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it's... Yeah, I know full well that they speak whatever version of whatever Arabic dialect version language it is, and I will admit I am completely inept in trying to figure out what that right terminology would be right now, because I'm getting a little emotional. I'm trying really hard not to be, because host, got to be real careful about that shit. But somehow it just kind of feels more real to me for some stupid reason. I don't know that I can really explain it.
I do. Can I come? It's kind of onto the side a bit, but you just mentioned Charlie Hebdo. I just listened to Sam Harris's the book he just came out. I just got the audio book and I just finished it. It's very short, but at the end of it, he made a comment about about the bloggers being assassinated in Bangladesh and all that, and the result of this discussion was that to lessen the risk for people speaking out, you have to stand up, like everybody else has to stand up to become targets in a way, just kind of like to spread the damage around.
Yep.
And he was talking about Charlie Hebdo, and he was saying that there was no response to that. And I've kind of got an answer to that because, I was there at the Charlie Hebdo. At the same evening, there was a manifestation.
Manifestation.
A what? Yeah, you say that in
Ma-
English? Okay, I'm losing my English.
Yep, manifestation. You're good.
But, like, the response to Charlie Hebdo was just so spontaneous, not called by anybody, not sponsored, not, just like people, just hundreds of thousands of people in the street, just the solidarity, like boom, like right away.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything like that.
And Chris, I got to imagine that something had to have shown up. I mean, let's face it, as much as we can rail against BBC for being crap sometimes, I have to imagine the BBC had to have had something that made its way, that tech wasn't the only avenue that you had for hearing about this.
I didn't get a message from tech, or if I did, because I don't normally sign into Google.
I'm not sure I added everybody because it was just kind of, like I said, it was an emotional reaction, which I normally calm myself down and try to prevent. Let me check. I may have.
Fair enough.
I can just check though.
Well, in any case, did anything make its way your way?
And I've not really been paying much attention to the news at all for the last week or so. So I'd missed this, but then I've missed everything else as well. On there, but it certainly did make the BBC news over here. On there, and they've covered the story pretty much fairly well since it's come out.
So we've got this happening. We've got news agencies that are trying to pull whatever information they can, which has been, as we mentioned, has been tough because Saudi Arabia is notoriously opaque with a whole bunch of the stuff that they do. They're like clear as shit. All right, you know what? I screw it. I don't need to have the blinders on my own damn words. Fuck it. I'll call it what it is. They're brutal. They've been fucking brutal this whole time. And now the question mark is, they got his sister, his oldest sister, who has been outspoken. Her 2-year-old daughter brought to specifically that same facility and I didn't double check the geography, but I don't think it was local. Pretty sure it wasn't. I should have looked. I'm sorry I didn't. But on his birthday, if not on, like
Yeah.
within one day of his birthday.
I'm pretty sure it would have been on some part of it because it was near the end of his birthday here.
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, on his fucking birthday. Like, really? Like, these people have, I mean, we know they have no souls because nobody does, but they have no fucking hearts at all.
Yeah.
Like,
so
just none.
Yeah. So it all comes down to, is this basically a way of trying to intimidate his family, intimidate her, to make a statement to the rest of the world to say, you know what, fuck y'all, we don't care what it is that you say, you can go ahead and... Well, the government's already said this. We're not going to bow down to the pressures of anybody else, and fuck y'all, and...
I think it's all of the above.
Yeah, Bridget. Hold on a second. Brigid, you were going to say...
I was going to say, I think it's pretty plain that that was the intent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We can read it as such.
Yeah, and as for bowing down to pressure, it would be nice if there was actually some from the rest of the world.
Yes.
Because various politicians make various token noises at times when they do something particularly egregious, like executing 47 people in a single day. But then go straight back to supplying them with arms and technology for indiscriminate bombing campaigns in Yemen, buying shit tons of oil off of them. This is numerous governments around the world and large arms dealers. If they actually had some financial pressure.
Yeah, let's hold on a second.
Then they might actually start changing.
Yeah, let's hold on right that a second. The money end of it all is fucking amazing right now. Barrels of oil, 55-gallon, I believe they are, barrels of oil had been in 2014 over $100 US.
Mm-hmm.
I forget exactly what point or how much it was, but it was over $100. And I remember when they were all railing and complaining because it got somewhere close to 120, I think it was, at some high or close to that. And now, Dallin, as you pointed out on that sign, they were saying it was $38 US a barrel, and they were comparing it to $25 for that one particular sign, something like that.
Well, it was $37.99 for the case of beer.
Okay.
Why you pay that much for a case of bud, I'll never figure out. But
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to make a joke. The problem of it is, it's not a joke. Because of the exchange rate. Mm-hmm. That's the joke. Here's not the joke. Who sets the price on the oil?
Okay.
Isn't it OPEC?
And the broader answer is whoever has the oil. Yeah. Now, in this case, yes, it's OPEC, but whoever has the most basically gets to set the price tag for whatever it is that they want to. Now,
well, they can choose their production level. And lately, they've been trying to flood the market. Now, a lot of people have been saying that this is an attempt to destabilize the North American economy because, let's face it, I don't mean to criticize the U.S. much more than I normally do, but y'all are pretty firmly latched to that big oily nipple. I mean, come on, let's be honest with ourselves here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because of that, it's because of the stereotypical Texan that you see, wearing the big white suit and the Colonel Sanders tie and the big white hat, big stogie, and then, 70 sunglasses walking around an oil field. It's because of people like that these guys have found the Achilles heel of North America.
Yeah.
You make it so that oil is as cheap as water, or cheaper than water.
Cheaper.
Then there's no need for industry. I mean, like up here in Alberta, we've got the oil sands, which is, yeah, it's a shit ton of oil. But the extraction process for this is a hell of a lot more involved than just, drilling down. Well, although these days I've seen some of the new technology, and I tell you, it's fucking crazy. But it's also expensive as hell. The extraction process is so expensive for oil sands oil that now, with the price the way it is, it's not worth it for oil companies to invest time, money, and technology to get this stuff out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, this
And
I'm sorry, finish off.
well, no, I'm just we're seeing layoffs left and right. And my brother, he got laid off early in 2015. He never told me about it until I got a phone call talking about it, which was interesting. But it's hitting a lot of people here, and a lot of us are, we're yelling and screaming at our own government. But the fact is the guys over on the other side of the Atlantic, there over in the Middle East, they just turned the pumps up and said, "We're gonna fuck the world."
Yeah.
By flooding it with oil. We're going to flood the markets. We're going to make it cheap. Now, okay, look, I'll admit, paying 75 cents a liter for gas up here, for me, not bad.
Right.
Now grant you, I don't have a giant urban assault vehicle SUV or anything like that. But you know what? If I can save $10-15 here on a tank of gas, I'll take it.
Right.
But I also know, I know that this is hurting a lot of people, and I get that. And the thing is,
how is it hurting people?
Well, because they're
People are
losing their
losing their
jobs. Because they're being priced out of the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
They're
this
being undercut
Right,
so much.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like
See, a
Just-
lot of that oil in the barrel doesn't just go to fuel. It goes to things to making anything that's made out of plastic. So we're talking about cosmetic products. We're talking about human prosthetics. We're talking about
Polyester.
plastic bags, polyester, so that's clothes. In
Graphite.
fact, somebody did a statistical analysis and actually figured out that most of the oil in the barrel does not wind up in our refineries. It goes towards making stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
there's a
That goes to plastic synthetics.
now here's a piece about it that's fucking annoying. And I'm really trying hard not to let my emotions get the better part of me, because again, it's kind of thing that I gotta balance out with. The stuff that is being done, and I will admit, I did not go through college for business. I did not finish any business courses. I have only a cursory understanding of it all from my own learning and seeing. But we've seen this time and time and time again. The amount of oil comes in and floods up, and then it wanes away. And sometimes drastically so. In the 70s, we had the embargo from OPEC.
Yep.
And now we're seeing it completely the opposite. That means that this group, this tight-knit group, who does not like most of the Western world, most especially the United States, I will admit it, and unfortunately there are a lot of governments out there that collateral damage because of it, are getting financially, let's call it what it is, raped. There is an unintended consequence of this. 2 words. Bill Nye. Joey, you mentioned about him earlier, didn't you? Or Tech? Somebody mentioned about him. That motherfucking Bill Nye, who has been on a tirade and trying to explain to everybody, excuse me, remember my good, close, warm, personal friend, Carl Sagan? Yeah, he was the one that figured out what was going on with Venus, runaway fucking greenhouse gases. We have all of this oil, and this is just fueling, quite literally, the machine. That is making it worse and worse and worse. And we've seen here in the U.S. You know what? A perfect example. Brigid. the hydrocarbon fuels, as far as air fuel is concerned, right now, to the best of your knowledge, from what you've seen in the Air Force, there's nothing like hydrocarbon fuel for aircraft at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's got the biggest bang for the buck. Joey, same kind of thing. For internal combustion engines right now, for the amount of power that you're getting out of it per unit, there ain't nothing like it for pushing stuff around.
Well, I mean, we have technology that is either unparalleled or surpasses it. The problem is it puts you on a rail, which nobody wants to be on. People want to be able to drive freely, and the same thing that's holding it up with cars is the same thing that would be holding it up with airplanes. We just can't generate a battery. We don't have batteries powerful enough yet lightweight enough to make them feasible.
See, the answer's simple. If we had a battery about this big, okay, this is my little device that I can clip onto my belt pedometer. It tells me how many steps I've taken in a day. If we can make a battery about this big that could carry enough of a charge to power, let's say, a motorcycle for about 300 miles, well, let's be generous, 500 miles, then we could get machines in the air on batteries. We are just not there yet.
Well, we do have machines that do go in the air on batteries.
I meant carrying people in the process.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
For the amount of load that we expect them to maintain, we have to make these aircraft quite heavy.
Mm-hmm. Pound for pound, our batteries currently can't put out they can't release enough energy to sustain that kind of flight.
I just saw an article here from ZDNet. Apparently, Boeing is working on a hybrid plane or a hybrid engine system. Mm-hmm. Now, the hype on this is that it could burn 70% less fuel. Now, it sounds like a lot of hype, but this is apparently on the request of NASA.
It is not an impossible task. And we have had impossible tasks set before us as a species, and we have still, managed to overcome them. It's just a matter of, it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of money, and
who's going to fund them? That is the question: is who's going to fund them? And right now, there's not the will to fund them.
Yeah.
Well, look. Okay, go ahead.
This is. This is the stupidity, is our reliance on oil. From the global warming perspective, it's massively stupid. From the fact that, as Shujin mentioned, that there are far more valuable things that you can do with oil, as a manufacturing product than just burning it. And also, reliance on oil lets the world economy be held hostage by a group of lunatics. And yet, strangely, governments around the world are not investing massively in things like promoting use of electric vehicles. I know that over here we've got a lot more wind farms, but there's potential problems of scale with those. But then there needs to be, I think the way to go is solar. And unfortunately we've not cracked that. But as for the vehicles, with things like the Tesla car, that's pretty much cracked, and it's going to get even better.
Yeah. But the thing in the U.S. with Tesla is we have those blocked. And
Texas and 5 other states have all passed legislation
to where Tesla cannot operate in those states.
And all the legislation is being led by the car dealerships. And they're
probably the guys that are making money off the oil and all that other shit too.
Right. And
well,
part of it is is religiously based too, because who cares about global warming and who cares about running out of resources, because Jesus is coming back to rapture us before all hell breaks loose.
Yeah,
Hey.
Texas, the you know how they call Missouri the show me state? I'm starting to think that Texas should be called the tagline for Texas's license plates should be now the any day now state.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Or
the, he's
sorry,
coming
if it's
back
any day
today.
now,
And
shouldn't they be giving up all their money to like healthcare for the rest of us who actually need it, because they're not going to need it anymore? So
well, no,
it should be
because
the
we're
Christian
all
thing
going.
to do.
No, because we're supposed to go through tribulation, don't you know?
Oh.
We're supposed to
something.
suffer for our stupidity, but you know what? Though that kind of makes. Oh, sorry, Joseph.
Yeah, just central to all this is lobbyists.
Yeah.
I mean, the entire economy is geared around, like it's horribly intertwined, but the entire economy is geared around keeping the money flowing into the same pockets. And
Yes.
You've got a country full of customers who think that, or consumers, they think they're free to choose whatever products they want off the shelves that are available, but they're not thinking about why those products are on their shelves and not other ones. They're just not thinking beyond convenience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at my cell phone. My cell phone battery lasts less than a day. There were a bunch of scientists who figured out that through experimentation that if during the process of making these lithium what are they, Joseph? Lithium polymer, I think they are?
Something or other.
Something like that. They during a part where they take one of the metals and they dip it in this chemical solution vat, they left it in there too long. But they timed it. And they found that in the process when they made the battery using this material that's been dipped too long, the battery goes from being 1 day charge to 1 week charge. And it also goes from getting very, very hot to not getting very, very hot when it's in use. And from only having a lifespan of, let's say, X amount of recharges, of full cycles of charging it and using it, charging it and using it, to X times, somewhere around, it was like 20 or 30. It was like, okay, why aren't companies jumping all over it? Because it's not going to make money.
Check.
Yeah.
Actually, that's one clear example. If it was as simple as that, and I've got a feeling that there's going to be a drawback somewhere, because the marketing value of having an iPod that would hold its charge or a phone that would hold its charge for a week, these days, that would be an absolute killer. If you brought that product out on there, then it would be you'd be able to fuck iPhone, Nokia, Samsung, everyone else
that I could
over
tell
within
from the
1 year.
article, the payoff, the cost in the article that I could tell is that apparently during the normal process of making the battery, they take the material in question, they dip it in the solution in question, it only gets left in there for like a minute, it's out, and then it's off to make the battery. They left it in by accident for many, many, many hours. So it would, if you were to take just your whatever production factory that's making these things, and you were to immediately switch it over so that it was doing this new process of leaving it in this extended period of time, yeah, the cost of it is suddenly you're not making them as fast anymore.
And as a former production scheduler, I'll tell you that would fuck a factory real hard, real fast.
Yeah. Now,
First.
yeah. Let's talk. Let's hit this really quickly. With everything that you go to buy, whether if it's invest in your time with it or to actually outlay money with it or whatever you are doing where you're getting an exchange back and forth for something else, there is always a trade-off between how much do you want to give out versus how much you want to get back. That's the basics of economics. That much I learned, especially even just learning on my own. So the question becomes, how much are you willing to put out in order to get something back? For a perfect example, Joseph, coming back over to you for a second. Production for electricity in France is not primarily coal like it is here in the US. What is the primary method of generation of electricity in the country of France currently?
Fermenting camembert.
Is that cow poop? Is that cow
No,
poop?
that's
You're
cheese.
helping. You're
C'est le
really
fromage.
Well, I don't know.
nuclear.
It depends on how good the camembert is. I mean, it could be shit. It could be merde, or it could be.
You know, it's things like this that I kind of regret having taken Russian instead of French, because I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
It doesn't much matter.
C'est un fromage magnifique.
Oh, fromage? Oh, jeez.
Oui, c'est le fromage.
Wait, so
Je suis
you
tellement
ferment-
habitué que
produce
je n'ai pas
energy
pensé.
So, in seriousness for a second, as if I remember correctly, isn't the primary electric power generation in France
Nuclear.
currently nuclear?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that worked out well for Japan, too.
Well, all right. Now wait a second. Wait.
Different
Wait,
location.
wait,
It's
wait a
all
minute,
about
wait a minute. Wait,
location,
hold it. We all right. Really quickly, because this falls back into the how much you want to give versus how much you want to get.
Right.
Power generation at Fukushima was right, and everything worked at Fukushima exactly the way it was supposed to, except
For the fault underneath it.
except yes, for one. Well, not exactly, but this was a. Forgive me for using the expression. This was a fucking perfect storm.
Yeah.
This was everything that could have gone wrong at the same time did. Everything worked the way that it was supposed to, except that everything that could fail failed. And that's the problem that you have to run into. There's only so far that you can push the great god motherfucking Murphy until he finally pushes back.
Yep.
Now, with that having been said, electric power generation on the International Space Station, who wants to touch this one really fast? It's not nuclear for good goddamn reason. You know what, Chris?
Well, the ISS, no, but Voyager is. Partially.
Voyager is. A couple of the others out there are, and again, with good motherfucking reason.
There ain't no people on them.
There's no people on them. There is
And there's a bit of like that long haul thing going on too.
Yeah. And for those of us that know about the inverse cube rule for the use of photons, yeah, you get out there a certain point, you really don't have a lot to work with. So, Chris, why not? You know what they're using up there, don't you?
Yeah, it's solar on there, which is great. There is enough solar energy coming in, even at ground level, to deal with most of humanity's, if not all of humanity's needs for the foreseeable future.
Small patch of the Sahara would be enough to provide the whole world.
One of the main drawbacks of it in global warming terms is that by absorbing the sunlight on there, and you heat the panel in the process, so it does contribute in some ways to global warming.
Depending on what you're using.
If you replace black roof surfaces with that, which are absorbing the sunlight anyway, you probably offset quite a lot of that. But the major thing is that thin, lightweight solar panels are basically made out of similar materials to display screens. It's something called indium tin oxide. And
Very
it's
expensive materials.
very expensive and rare, and it's actually very limited reserves which come mainly out of China. There are all kinds of alternatives being tried out to get rid of this material.
Yeah, Germany actually came out with a black silica crystal that absorbs. Well, I think it's silica. Anyway, but they made a unique solar panel that instead of absorbing the standard light that all regular ordinary solar panels absorb, it actually absorbs from the infrared spectrum. So even if you're out, if you've got this solar panel outside and the whole day is cloudy, you're still getting energy because the infrared radiation, which anybody in New York, like Sujin, will tell you that on in a summer day when it's overcast and people are going outside and they're not putting on sunblock, what do they get? Sunburn from the infrared radiation that's still piercing through the layers of the clouds.
And that's kind of awesome because the higher you go on the spectrum, the more energy. So
exactly.
You may be thinking of ultraviolet there, because
ultraviolet.
Red is a lower energy.
But the point is that what it is it's collecting energy and it's doing it more consistently. So in a way, okay, fine, ultraviolet's more. Joey and I, or Joseph and I, were both thinking the wrong thing, but the point is that
I was thinking the wrong thing. But anyways,
but the point is that you're getting energy more consistently, and we have lots of applications in the world that require that.
Okay, Joey, you had something that you wanted to pop on for.
Well, yeah. Currently, there are two forms of solar power that we use today. Either A, we use the photoelectric effect, where the photons hitting a particular material, such as the silica-based stuff, generates an electric current. Or we have what's more commonly used as far as, like they have an array like this down in Arizona, where you have mirrors that are focused on a tube running in front of them. And this tube is filled with a special kind of oil that heats up and then drives a turbine. Now, those are our two primary sources of solar energy right now as far as what we use on an industrial sense. But what they are working on right now, courtesy of the guys over at JCAP, which is the Joint Center for Artificial Photosynthesis, if we could harness even a fraction of the photosynthetic qualities that we see in plants, we would already produce more energy in a day than our current means, nuclear included, could produce in, say, a decade. You do not realize just how much power, chemical power, is being generated by plants. I mean, there's a reason why we burn oil. Oil is the broken down remains of plants, not dinosaurs. It's not dino juice, as some have called it. It's actually plant matter that has been broken down over millennia. That is solar energy, believe it or not. Really, all the energy we use, regardless, is solar energy. It all came from the sun. It's just a matter of how it's been stored all these years.
Well, except for the nuclear.
Even the nuclear.
Yes, because as I was listening to
not necessarily our sun, but
right. Skeptic's Guide was recently talking about was Skeptic's Guide? Yes, about the new elements that are being added to the periodic table of elements. The transuranium set. I forget which numbers it was. 112 to 117.
Look,
I think it is. Hold on. That anything after uranium, which is either 91 or 92 on the periodic table, I've forgotten which it is, but after uranium, it's all quote unquote artificial stuff. Meaning, you get up and you use a star, as a nuclear reactor, and you use a supernova to crunch and completely compress the stuff into whatever stuff you want: oxygen, nitrogen, argon, xenon, etc., etc., etc. You get up to uranium, and that's it. You can't, even with a motherfucking star, make anything heavier than fucking uranium. And that is one of the greatest items that we've got for nuclear power generation, and it's one of the scariest ones too, because because after you're done using that, there are too many possibilities for using it for really bad stuff. Yes, Joseph.
Yeah, well, it takes more energy to create a heavier isotope than uranium. The amount of energy it takes is enormous.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly the point.
For generating energy.
Yeah, but the point is, if you're looking to make anything heavier than uranium, you can't do it in nature. Nature doesn't do it on its own. Uranium is it.
Well,
which is fucking
at least not in the ways that we have seen, because it's possible that, you know, such things could be done, but the forces required would only be generated by things like a black hole, which wouldn't allow the results to escape.
Yeah, that's see, now that's a whole other piece right there. I was thinking about that. What's at the heart of a black hole? What's periodic table number 14 billion? You know, it's like who the fuck knows? Nobody knows. And by the way, the photoelectric effect, Professor Einstein, thank you for that one. We appreciate it a lot.
I know it's at the heart of a black hole. Unobtainium.
As a resident furry on the group.
No, you should not be doing that, because that is perfect.
Well, it's
all right.
Close enough to it.
For those of you who, you know, are still trying to wrap your brains around what Shujin is getting at, I'm going to post up 2 images real quick. And
Assuming
I want
it
you
works.
Well, yes, assuming it works. But I'm going to try to get this up here real quick.
Okay. While he's trying to get that, let me also reiterate. You keep working on that, by the way. I also want to reiterate, with all of these shows, as you guys know full well, we end up traveling down several different bunny holes at different times, but I do end up bringing it back to the main point of the whole damn thing. And trust me, I've not forgotten where the whole main thrust of this whole thing has been. Don't worry, I will be getting us back into where the whole thing is important specifically. So, Joey, got your picture there.
Okay, so what you're looking at is what everybody thinks of when they think periodic table of elements.
Right.
This is not what the science community considers the true periodic table of elements. You want to see what the real one looks like?
Yes.
Okay, and by the way, for those that are listening, this is the traditional one that you would expect, which is the grid far and wide, where it's however many it is, all the way left to the right.
Class.
Yes, on the wall of your chemistry classes and such. You're right.
The one where if you ever had to take stoichiometry, you knew all those atomic weights by heart at the end of it. Or was that just me?
Are we paying attention, class?
Yep.
Yes, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Professor Joey.
You see this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a table of all known isotopes. That is to say, each row is a single element, what you would see on the periodic table. But what you see spread out are all the different isotopes of said elements. Each of those little boxes you see contains probably about 10 or 20 different isotopes.
Damn.
And you can see, you know, this is on scale of what their half-life is. You know, just how stable they are. And of course, the ones that we see on the periodic table are the ones that go up the middle, the ones that are the most stable. What you see on the periodic table are just the most stable forms of those elements. There are many, many more out there.
Yeah, one of the things that we'll have to do, Joe. This was you got this one from a specific website, or both of them, right?
Well, you know, Google image search, but you can find examples of this particular graph all over the place, and they're broken down in many different ways. In fact, there's one where you can zoom in on them and actually see they have it so that each tile has its representative data on it, the same way that you typically see on your normal periodic table. But it's huge, and I'm not going to attempt to put it up here.
Well, the reason why I was asking is that what we'll do is I'll make sure that there is a link to at least each of these.
Well, simple
in
enough.
the notes that we've had.
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Well, yeah.
Show
That's
notes.
yeah. And this is why on the standard periodic table, you may notice the atomic weight is often not a whole number, despite the fact that the atomic weight is basically the number of neutrons plus the number of protons in there, and so you should think it's a whole number. What it's done is they've looked at the abundances of the different isotopes and taken basically an average value.
Okay, so
although the statistics I think might be a bit more to it than that.
So what has this all got to do with motherfucking Saudi Arabia? Why go down all of these rabbit holes? Here's why. Saudi Arabia, for I dare say that I will dare to say hundreds of years, I will go with that much at this point, has been, if not theocratically aligned. Maybe not explicitly so, but they have been very heavily influenced by the religions of the day. And with the fact that it has been kingdomed. And I'm using it this way, which is not a proper term, I know. But I'm laying it out this way because it has been very much... Okay, I don't know who that was. I hope everybody's okay, because I wasn't looking at everybody.
I think you're forgetting the Ottoman Empire, that actually most of the peninsula and all that was under their control until the First World War. And all of this recent Islamization, it's recent. I'm sorry, but I mean, until the 1950s, a lot of these countries where you go on the streets there, and it's almost comparable to like America. And I mean,
even going through to the 70s and early 80s. In
well, it
some
started
places.
in the 80s, the real Islamization.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of lead into it. That's okay. You're actually right. All right, let's fast forward then. Religion has played a large part in the overall in history for humanity. It's just the way that it's been.
That was over years ago. But,
I'm sorry, a lot of that got cut out. What was that?
No, I said religion's usefulness ended when humans got used to living together.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but it's still played societally large part. Even
It still does.
It's blackmail. That's all it is.
Well, it is. But sideline on this one for a second. It's been one of the pieces that has bound cultures to themselves. Kind of the same way that nationalism has, where you are or you are not, and it's hard to move back and forth between them without being kind of not exactly accepted all the time.
Nationalism can be rational, religion can't be.
Yeah, fine. Hyper-nationalism. Can we go with that?
All right.
Thank you. God damn it.
Sorry.
Fucking
You just have to derail the whole
really
damn
complex.
thing.
I mean,
don't make me go ahead and just pull out the boot. Anyway, my point though is at this point, these groups have been pulling strings, and the string has been the money. It has been pulling on the economies the world over because of a specific resource, oil. because the technology that we have been working with since the Industrial Revolution has been feeding off of that tit, simply because of the chemistry and the physics that's been involved in all of that. And that has fallen down to today, where that black gold, as it's been called, is far more valuable than gold itself for the continued use. And it is a leverage point for everybody else, for every other country in the world that doesn't have the ability of using, of getting their own supply of that black gold.
Can I go you one better? I think the prime commodity in the world today is ignorance. And our consumption of oil it's a mix of ignorance and convenience. And these oil guys, they're exploiting our ignorance and the religion as well. And they're currently arguing with each other in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And what's going on there is a result of that. Because you've got the oil guys there, you've got the American military that's there, and that's an argument against the religious guys kind of going over the board. But since the American military, their presence there has been reduced since they left Iraq, well, they feel a little more free to screw with the American market than they felt before when the military was there. I mean, it's all intertwined.
And that's the point of it. All of this stuff has been intertwined, and that's why at this point we're dealing with human rights violations. Fucking human rights violations by the head of the fucking Human Rights Council.
And you gotta know that there's no rational explanation for those fuckers to have anything, to even be able to sit on the Human Rights Council, let alone head the fucking thing. Like, it's just, anybody with half a brain would take one look at that and say, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Yeah, and he's there because of the oil, and these guys are doing these human rights violations because they're holding the rest of the world hostage, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Has anyone seen...
And Daddy's not around to...
There was
the Americans
a video...
Couldn't do anything against Saudi Arabia as long as they detain the world's biggest oil field, or whatever the second biggest is in Iraq. But they're just like hand in hand mutual blackmail. I don't know how else to call it.
Yeah, Heretic Woman, hold that thought one second, really quickly. Don't forget it.
Sorry.
Tech, really quickly, because I know that you're going to know this one, because you've got a kid from Aladdin. What is the golden rule?
Don't be a dick.
God motherfucking damn it, could you just once not be quoting on fucking Will Wheaton? Just once.
I'll take a shot at it.
There's two variations of the golden rule. The common misconception is do unto others as you want to, there's two versions. But the one that I like is do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Not the one I'm looking for, from Aladdin.
No, I know the one you're looking for.
Do you remember
the golden rule?
Hold on. Let me give it a chance to redeem himself. Do you remember the one I'm thinking of then, Tech? From Aladdin?
Do not do unto others as you would do not.
There's no raising anybody from the dead?
Motherfucker. God damn it. Dallin, do it.
Make somebody fall in love.
Do unto others as you would like them to do unto you.
No.
That's what I
golden
said.
The golden rule that is currently out there right now is he who has the gold makes the rules.
Okay.
Now, Heretic Woman.
That's what when you said kid, I'm thinking something that I can actually teach my son, and that's not something I taught my son.
That's what I said from Aladdin. Heretic Woman, now that I pitched that one underneath what you were going for, I think that works.
Yes. Okay. Well, there was a video going around last year, I think it was, and it was Center for Inquiry had sent a representative to the United Nations Human Rights Council as they call it a non-government organization, an NGO, and they have special times for NGOs to speak to various human rights or to various UN councils, etc. And so this representative from CFI had gone to speak specifically about Saudi Arabia, and this was before they were heading the council, but just that they were even on the council. And of course, it was a woman who was speaking, and she was very respectful and very professional. She had a prepared speech, and the asshole from Saudi would interrupt her like every 10 seconds and be like, the member from Saudi Arabia objects. And there was 2 or 3 times where other countries.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. I saw that video.
Where it was America and Canada and I think Ireland and 2 or 3 other countries stood up and said, no, she is well within the guidelines of her presentation, of the rules of such things. Like, there's no reason to stop her from speaking. Continue. And she was saying, you know, here's all of these human rights abuses that Saudi is currently doing. Raif was mentioned, as well as some other cases, and we're pointing out all of the just atrocious things that Saudi was doing. And the guy just kept getting angrier and angrier. And at one point, because this was being filmed and there was a translator dubbing over the Arabic into English, because the CFI representative was speaking English. And so they were translating the asshole from Saudi. And at one point, the translator actually stopped translating because the guy actually started saying things like, get this stupid bitch out of here, and, you know, how dare this, you know, stupid woman speak. And I don't remember the exact term that they used, but the guy was being a total misogynistic pig. And
you can't really say it's misogyny when the religion tells them to behave that way, can you?
Yes, I can. The whole fucking religion is fucking misogyny. Don't get me started.
That's exactly what I was trying to do.
Tech, do not rev that engine, please.
Vroom.
I go look at my feed. I've tackled like 4 Muslims this week in what Beth and I call the crazy group, but those fuckers. And it still boggles my mind that after that presentation where this woman highlighted point by point by point all of these human rights abuses perpetrated by those fuckers in Saudi, they still became the head of the Human Rights Council after that.
Golden rule.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
now,
what it is.
Yeah. Before we go too much further past that one, what I want to know, because I didn't go looking it up myself because I just thought about it. What's the method for deciding who is heading up whatever council at the UN, specifically the Human Rights Council? What's the method? Is it random? Is it on a
No, I think it is an election. Like I heard rumblings around the time that they came into power that they had bought the position. So whether it's like an appointment by a committee or something like that, but there is some input from the other countries to this. So it's not just, oh, we drew Saudi out of a hat, congratulations. There was some input from other countries to that. I don't know the actual method, though.
But why would they even give input for that? I mean, how could they garner support? I don't...
Oil.
Money.
Yeah.
They vote for
There
this,
was
right?
probably a metric fuck ton of backdoor deals made.
Oh yeah.
And so by being the head of the Human Rights Council of the UN, that gives people the impression that, oh well, they must be a paragon of human rights.
Exactly.
But they all know better.
And that,
No,
but let me preface that, because when I was a teenager growing up, I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time paying attention to world politics, but you know, my grandparents and parents watched the news every night, and I saw things about hostage crises and the Ayatollah and you know, people blowing up each other over religion in Ireland and all that other shit. And one thing that I always took away as a kid and a teenager was that Saudi, because there was the Iran-Iraq war when I was a kid, but Saudi was one of the nice Arabic countries. That's what I was raised to believe, based only on the news that my family would watch at 6 usually. I wasn't usually up at 11. But that's the only impression I had. This is like way pre-internet. I had no opportunity to go and like, oh, I wonder how true that is. And so I spent most of my life thinking that, well, Saudi is our ally. Obviously, they're one of the nice Arabic countries, unlike those nasty Iranians and Iraqis that are always blowing each other up, you know, and to realize that those fuckers have been buying their own reputation for probably hundreds of years. And I'm sure that's the main reason why they wanted this council position so badly, is they are trying to buy legitimacy, because they know damn well that people like us are out there looking at what they're actually doing. There are people smuggling videos out of them beheading 47 people in one fucking day, and realizing that these are one of the most barbaric motherfuckers on the whole planet, and they're trying to do whatever they can to mitigate it, because I think they smell that their gig is about up, and that we know there's blood in the fucking water, and it's not just all those poor bastards they beheaded.
All right.
Now,
I'm gonna hold
it.
Sorry.
We're getting really close in on time that we got to get closed up, and I got a couple of things I got to do. Normally speaking, I would let you guys go ahead and close up first. Let me do something really fast, and I'm going to make it my closing a very, very quick one, and I'm going to give you guys a real quick opportunity of just finishing off from whatever it is that you want. Okay. My final on this is this. It's physics. It's motherfucking physics. I laid it out for you guys already. It's because of fucking hydrocarbons. It's about the fucking black gold. It's about the oil. It has always been about the power. And whether it's political power, or it's financial power, or it's chemical power, or it's... doesn't matter. It's about that power. It's about the influence. If this was any other... if this was any other group, I'd call it the fucking mafia, except for one small problem. The mafia had an actual code of respectability.
Of ethics. Yes.
These fuckers don't care who hurt or why. Oh no, wait, they do. The why is to flex their own might and to show we don't give a shit, because if you don't agree with us, we'll go ahead and we'll cripple you financially. Oh, we're going to destroy the planet in the process? I don't believe you. We've always been desert. What are we worried about? Brigid, I'm getting you because you were the loudest voice at the moment, and truth be told, I want the ladies to have their opportunity to go ahead and hit this one unfettered, because Heretic Woman, you're going up next after this one, because fuck them. Brigid, do.
I was just gonna say, I don't see how they can pull off the charade, because the whole world is watching. Even though they may have money, they may have influence, we all see. You know, we're all teleconnected nowadays. So how can they do this?
I have an answer for that.
Please do.
Take it, hon.
Unfettered, goddamn motherfucking arrogance. They don't think their shit stinks. They never have, because they've always had the power. If you look at that press release they put out, they basically said, well, yeah, we know you guys don't agree with what we do, but fuck all of you in the entire world. We don't give a shit. And that's why. They don't care what anyone else thinks. They think they are the shit because they have the oil and they think they've got the power. I'm betting that they're too fucking stupid to realize that everyone is watching and that's eventually their days are numbered. It's coming, because you can't hold on to your power when everybody sees what a fucking piece of shit you are. And make no bones about it, Saudi, you are the most barbaric motherfuckers on this whole planet. You don't give a shit about anybody except your own rich-ass dicks, and your days are numbered. We have intelligence, we have the science, we are coming for you fuckers, and the day will come where you're going to fade into the fucking desert and turn into a bunch of dust bowls. That's all I can hope for.
It's time for the House of Saud to fall.
Okay, they're coming. They're trying to spread their shit all over the place. You're right. We don't really have to come for them, but
Well, that wasn't what I was saying, but I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I'd love to see the attitude shift. If either their oil ran out, or the rest of the world actually finally woke up and moved away from oil.
Yes.
You know what?
I would just love to see OPEC being irrelevant.
Yeah,
that's exactly the word.
Yeah, really quickly before I get over to Joey to get yours, I really, really, really want to say, I really, really, really hope that the oil runs out thing does not happen ever, because that would mean that everything that had ever died and turned into this oil was now on the top side of the planet instead of inside of it, and that possibility fucking scares the shit out of me, because Venus.
Good point.
I just meant specifically the oil underneath Saudi Arabia.
No, I got you, but I know.
Good
I know
point.
Totally. Joey, what do you want to close with?
Well, with your fear, I don't think that it would necessarily get to that point. It would get pretty bad. It would get... we wouldn't be able to survive here. But I wouldn't say it would get as bad as Venus. The chemical composition of our planet compared to Venus, I mean, they're close. They're very similar. But Venus has a lot more greenhouse chemicals. Earth has gone through a greenhouse phase before. A very bad one. And several of them, in fact. But that's the thing about Earth. Though a runaway greenhouse effect right now would probably wipe us out, there are plenty of bacteria that would stick around, and they would begin the same process that they did at the very start, photosynthesizing that stuff as it starts saturating the oceans and such, and, it would be the reboot of the cycle, as it were. But
we're far enough away from the sun.
Let him finish.
As far as we're concerned, yeah, it would. It's just as sure as mutually assured destruction, nuking ourselves into extinction.
You don't actually need a complete runaway greenhouse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Effect. 3 or 4 degrees is enough to make a lot of parts of the world uninhabitable. Purely from with a moderate increase in humidity, is that without air conditioning you'd be probably dead within a couple of hours outside. There are parts of the world that are already getting to that condition, and every year there's huge numbers of people dying from heat.
Yeah, Chris, if there's anything else you wanted to add on to that as part of your close, I was going to hit you next anyway.
Yeah, no, that was it. I was going to say, from the global warming aspect Joseph touched on there, the bad consequences are a lot closer than most people think.
Well, yeah.
And they're going to be a lot more drastic. And it's... But on the main thrust of the show, yeah, these Saudi Arabia and a lot of other places in that area are absolutely horrible, barbaric dictatorships and regimes that the fact that we have anything to do with them that's not at the sharp end of a stick just makes me feel dirty.
Fair enough.
And I think we should be working hard to cut any reliance that we have on these people and let them become irrelevant as fast as possible.
That's second, that one right there. Tech, where would you like to close?
I don't think we need to go after Saudi Arabia. We don't have to be on their doorstep, because eventually, with us as well as many other countries trying to phase in the solar panels, so solar electricity, reliance on solar and wind and water power and geothermal and all the other renewable resources. Eventually what's going to end up happening is Saudi Arabia is going to become part of the history books as this country used to provide power throughout the world in the form of, old fossil fuels. That's what I was looking for, fossil fuels. But then suddenly the world grew up and it didn't need them anymore. And they found that being isolated and not being needed anymore, they needed to turn themselves around. And either A, they shit themselves and gobble themselves up, or B, they grow up and move on too. The big thing that we have to go after is these religions that tell people it's okay to treat people like shit. It's okay to tell people that, no, your body is not your own. You have no right to do what you want to do with your body. We are going to tell you what you can do with your body. The religions that say, yes, it's okay to kill that person over there because they disagree with you. Those things need to be changed.
Yep. Joseph, where would you like to finish off with?
Yeah, sorry if I'm kind of making up for last week, but
it's okay.
I really think it has a lot to do with, again, I'm going back to ignorance, because you've got a small percentage of humanity who has the intellectual advantage over the other, and instead of allowing humanity to educate itself, it's trying to maintain and even largen the divide between those who have the power and those who don't. And it's the same through religion, and it's the same religion. They do their best to try to keep people from making value judgments for themselves, thinking for themselves, making their own decision, because as soon as they start to do that, they don't need religion anymore. And it's kind of the same thing. We're talking about oil. Oil is doing the same thing in regard to our technology, because religion's trying to drag us back to the Stone Age, but oil technology, with the knowledge we have, with all the technology we have now, they're trying to keep us back in like the 1930s on a technological point of view. So they're kind of doing the same thing in a different field, but essentially the same thing. So I really think the fastest way to get through all this is just, it's education, for everybody, and individual thought, comparing things to reality instead of your own bubble of understanding.
Del, you get the last word on this one.
Sorry.
Oh, no. And truth be told, I feel really, really uncomfortable about this because I'm so used to having the very, very last. And this is kind of weird for me because I've been thinking about other stuff. So, Dallin, by all means, take the whole damn thing home at this point.
Oh, geez, thanks. I echo a lot of this. Shut up, Tech. You can't sing. I echo a lot of the sentiments of everybody else here in that Saudi's influence on the world economy through oil needs to be marginalized. For that, we need to get rid of the current paradigms that we have, and we have to move forward. Now, that's going to be a very long road, no matter how we look at it. I mean, look at the U.S. Everybody pops a boner over a V12 engine that gets two gallons to the mile because America. There's a love affair with things that run on petrochemicals, fuels. That has to change, and to do that, you've got to change the mindset of the people, and that's not an easy task, especially when you've got all the other influences, religious, economic, and otherwise. Now,
You have to make the technology available. Like,
that
it's a question
too.
of convenience. If
Yeah,
it's not
like,
available, people won't switch to it.
Well, exactly. I want a Tesla.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's like you were saying that you're happy that you're paying 75 cents a litre on gas at the moment. And I know that's an immediate financial saving for you, but I think probably the only way of changing that mindset, or a big part of it, would be fairly heavy taxation on fuel.
Yeah.
On there to make it so that running a V12 engine that does 2 or 3 miles to the gallon is just not viable for anyone unless they're super rich.
Yeah. But the trouble is, you still have that paradigm of,
but
like, you go to a car,
that would be suicide.
Yeah, but you go to a car show, you see, the Lamborghinis and the Lotuses and stuff like that, and I'll admit, I would love a vehicle like that. I'll never be able to afford one. But the other thing too, and this is going to Joseph's point, I want a Tesla. I want to make that phone call as soon as my leg heals up a little bit more. I want to make that phone call and go take that test drive. I had a friend who did, and he loved it. The trouble is, paying for a Tesla right now it's impossible for a guy on my income, and I'm Joe Average. So right now we don't have an alternative except for something like public transit, which, okay, in my city it's actually pretty good. Other places, speaking as someone who works in the transit industry, y'all got a lot of problems. All right, just trust me on this.
I know.
I know that of which I speak. And or the other alternative, a bicycle. Now, looking outside my window here, okay, it's pitch black, but earlier today, there's a whole bunch of white stuff, and you step outside and go, oh, it's barking ass cold. You're welcome, Shujin. Where, like, a bicycle up here is not a viable 12-month-a-year vehicle. So right now, we don't have a whole lot of alternatives yet. So there's got to be paradigm changes. Now, another thing that I've been kind of watching is this growing tension between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Now, there's a lot of proxy Cold War shit going on right now, a la U.S. versus Soviet Union back in the day. But I'm kind of looking at this going, tick-tock, motherfucker, tick-tock.
Yeah.
Because eventually these two are going to stop beating around the bush, and that 3,500-year-old turf war between Sunni and Shia over who the next successor to that child fucker Muhammad is. You're welcome, heretic. I just thought I'd throw that. I just thought I'd throw that in there because I'm me.
Thank you.
Now, again, I'm not one for senseless violence and slaughter, but really, to finally watch those two guys go head to head, like Saudi Arabia, yes, it's powerful, but it's not that big. I did look at some of the numbers here, and without the U.S. directly involved, Iran could steamroll the House of Saud. Like, it wouldn't fall; it would be crushed.
Oh, please.
Now,
It wouldn't even be a pay-per-view event.
But the thing is, now, I mean, the big question there, though, is, would it then be meet the new boss, same as the old boss? But maybe in that short-term amount of turmoil, maybe we could get some of these human rights things figured out properly.
Mhm.
So, yeah, Saudi Arabia, TikTok, we're
Hey.
watching.
Done.
Yeah.
For that, it's Iran and Saudi Arabia. It's like watching a wasp and a scorpion fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone's
But the
going to
thing
get
is,
stung, and you don't really care who. But either way, whoever comes out on top, you're still not going to like them.
no, but like I said, Chris, there'll be a moment of power vacuum of some kind, whether it's the House of Saud that falls and Iran moves in, or Iran somehow gets stomped. But maybe inside of all that, because I foresee this as being an extremely bloody conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's face it, these motherfuckers over there, they are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like up here, we got
Well,
machine
look at
guns. We've got efficient ways of killing people. We've also got efficient ways of wounding people, and rules of war and all that stuff. These guys don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They will, if you cut their leg off and blow one of their arms off, they will hop after you to bite your neck
They're the
to make sure
fucking
that they
Black
killed you
Knight.
before you did.
They're the fucking Black Knight. They'll be like, I bleed on you.
Yeah, but the thing is, like that's the religious zealotry coming out of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like you said, Heretic Woman, the world is watching Saudi Arabia right now. They're starting to make a lot of enemies, and it could be to the point where Iran says, you know what? We know nobody's got your back. Knuckle up, bitch. It's time.
Yes.
And when I hear that, the second I hear that, I will post on Facebook. No. The second I hear that shots have officially been fired between Iran and Saudi Arabia in an actual head-to-head war, I promise on Facebook I will post, pass the popcorn.
Fuck yeah.
With that
You
said,
guys have heard me. You hold me to that. The day it happens, nudge me on Facebook, say, well, have you posted it yet?
Where's the cheese sprinkles? Come on.
Yeah.
with
I
that
used a ranch
said,
one myself.
Donna?
Cheddar.
Yes.
White cheddar.
I can only hope, and it's obviously going to be a vain hope, that whoever's like president of the US, when asked about that, is seen eating popcorn.
Oh, yes.
Just going.
that-
I really hope
we'll
whoever
see.
is the president of the U.S. when that happens doesn't send our men and women in to try to mitigate it.
Exactly.
Yes.
If we can send a bag of dicks, can we send a bag of popcorn anonymously to somebody?
I'm sure that I
Probably.
can talk to. I'm sure I'll talk to the Orville Redenbacher company and see what we can do about that.
There
in
we go.
the meantime, we need to wrap this all up. I will. You know what? I know that I said I said my piece, but there's just 4 words that I just want to end this whole damn thing with to really cap
Flying
it.
saucer thing?
No. Tesla Motors open source.
Yeah.
Think about that.
If I can append one more word to that, bitches.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
Who's
As
the
always,
bitch
everybody-
now?
Whoever it is that makes the bigger battery. With all that said, thank you for being with us, everyone. We know full well that this is a late show, and thank you very much for finding something important and worthwhile in our shows and in our opinions and our positions. We hope that you found something worthwhile and interesting out of the whole damn thing, because I don't know about the rest of you guys, I find so many of these different rabbit holes fascinating to pull it all together with. As always, for everybody, thank you very much for being on the panel. And yes, I heard it. One of my damn smoke alarms has gone off again. Yes. Have you noticed that it's been gone for the last couple of weeks? I gotta find another. I gotta figure out which one it is again. God damn it.
Time for another battery.
Yeah.
That's why you
Joseph-
shouldn't do it all at the same time.
Yeah. Well, Joseph, as always, thank you very much. Have a very good morning.
You too, sir.
Chris.
See you next week.
Oh,
Hey,
yes.
hey,
Before.
hey.
I know. Before I move on. Come on,
Joseph.
Joseph.
Atheist Apocalypse, Adelaide. AtheistApocalypse.com.
You can find a link to that in the show notes. Thank you very much.
New episode coming out in about 2 weeks, and
Okay, I'll prepare a blinky sign for next week.
Okay.
2 weeks, right?
and there is actually, if you're a patron, there's some stuff actually being put up while we're on hiatus, letting you know what Jake and Tyler are doing while they're not broadcasting the news. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
Chris.
Yeah, mate, it's been great to be here, and for once I do have something to plug.
Yay! What's her name?
Yay!
Shut up.
Okay. His name's
Gone?
Tech. Yeah. No. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
Yeah. Okay. So his name's Paul, and he's doing a book of like political cartoons from a skeptical angle. Some brilliant stuff on there. But he's having trouble finding a publisher because of the subject matter. And so he's self-publishing through Kickstarter. It's called Think the Book, and they've got a website up at thinkthebook.org. Also on Facebook with samples of the material and links to the Kickstarter. So I'd like to suggest everyone check that out. And I'll pass a link to Shujin and Dallin for adding to the show notes, if that's okay with them.
It's actually perfect. Thank you so much.
You can just pass it to Shujin, because when I do the entries into the onto the website, I'm usually just copying and pasting off of YouTube anyway. So, because he's already organized it. So why reinvent the wheel?
So we'll get over to that. Tech, thank you very kindly for staying conscious of the time. Appreciate it. Have a great morning.
Yeah. You're welcome, bitches.
Joey, thank you very kindly. Have yourself a good morning and actually get some sleep, would you, maybe, please?
Very shortly.
Well, just take it from me, Joseph. If you're having trouble get to sleep, do the same thing I do. Just listen to one of Sujin's closing statements.
Except in your case, it's more often the opening statement.
That works too.
Wasn't going to say it, but thank you. Brigid, have a good morning. Thank you very kindly for your time, as always. And best of luck.
Oh, thank you. I need it.
For those that are wondering what's going on, don't go asking if you don't already know. Don't worry about it. Seriously, don't worry about it. Unless you do know, in which case, help her. A lot.
Yeah.
You've got anything to plug this time? Do you? Maybe? A little bit?
Here we go.
That's not very helpful for the people.
It's my blog, BrigidFitch2112.wordpress.com. That's my blog.
Yeah, we'll make sure that's linked, of course, as always. Heretic Woman, the clock is ticking, motherfucker. Get on with it.
Well, tomorrow night, Monday night, we have Beyond the Trailer Park at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel, Beyond the Trailer Park. This week we are going to talk about hermeneutics. Yeah, I had to look it up too, because, Beth is, real smart and stuff, so, yeah, this is kind of Beth's gig. But, yeah, it's interpreting the Bible and other stupid books. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. So 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and I think I don't have any traction on Secular Savior yet. My potential partners had some life issues, so I'll keep you posted on that one if something develops. Did talk about Atheist Apocalypse a bit there. And I think that is it for this evening.
All right. Make sure, of course, all those links are going to be in the notes and in the info pages. Dallin, as always, thank you very kindly for your time. You have a great morning. And by the way, I don't know if you checked it out. -31 over there in our favorite place.
Ooh.
Hell?
Did I tell you that I actually met a guy from there?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I was sort of drag this out a little bit, but no, I was in a food court, and this guy said something about how cold it was here in Calgary, and I said, well, it could be worse, could be Yellowknife. He says, yeah, I'm from Yellowknife, and I just, honest to God, I was like completely dumbfounded. I had absolutely no idea what to tell the guy. I was like, what do I say? Yeah, my buddy here, he's got this really weird obsession with Yellowknife. And all he said was, he says, yeah, and what was it he said? Yeah, you know how you say hi in Yellowknife? I'm like, no, because I've never been there. He takes his coat and he zips it right up to like his nose and he goes, hello.
It could be worse. I could be completely infatuated with Shibugamu.
Yeah.
Or Shigabugama.
Well,
That's how it's pronounced. Shigabugama. No, that's how it's spelled.
I've got a list somewhere of weird names for Canadian cities. I will have to get that to you. Because honestly, yeah, like you think Dildo Newfoundland is funny? Dude, that's the tip of the fucking iceberg, all right?
Truth be told, until it's actually frozen dildo, no, it's not that funny.
Hey, we have a place
No, that would be North Dakota.
down in Pennsylvania. We have a town called Blue Balls in Pennsylvania that's just down the road from Intercourse.
Yes, I've been to Pennsylvania often enough that I've heard of this.
Yes. So
So
don't think
whoever,
you're the only one with a lot of stupid people naming towns and roads on your maps.
whoever lives in Blue Balls obviously doesn't travel to Intercourse very often.
Probably not. There's also another town in Pennsylvania called Beaver.
Isn't there a Beaver Lick somewhere too?
Yeah.
I know there's a Beaver County.
But Deborah, we just found the town called Go Home.
We did.
Guys. Good night, Dal.
Good night.
Good night.
Sorry about that.
No, he's not.
Tangent.
Anyway, did you have anything you needed to plug before we get out?
All the things.
Not currently. Apparently, I guess the audition didn't work out, so oh well.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh.
So in the meantime, of course, thank you all for being with us. If you'd like to stay in touch with us, take a swing on over to holycrapthevlogcast.com. All of the links that you need are going to be located right from over there, including Twitter, YouTube, Google+, and Facebook links. If you'd like to take a swing over to the voicemail page, or the phone number, if you will, is 859-HCTV-554. Again, it's 859-4288-554, and I call it a page because it's actually through Google Voice, because it's free, because we like free. For the guys over there at No Religion Required, I'm really hoping that I'll get to talk to you guys a little bit later tonight. As always, everybody, thank you very much for your time and watching with us. We hope that you've enjoyed yourselves, and as always, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And of course, as always, to my lovely lady, 10.5 years on, I am still in love with you. Matane Fujin. I love you and I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we get together, everybody, which is episode 99 coming up. I've got a couple things still in the works. Don't forget. Good night.